Vote, we're not having any fun.
Yeah, I'm not either. Yeah, good to know you guys aren't. Otherwise, I would be jealous. You know what I mean? It's not super fun in the arena right now. The fans weren't having fun tonight, guys. Some boos, some
Good.
fans voicing their displeasure with the defense, and fans leaving early tonight, too. A lot of fans leaving early in this one with about minute 30 left, 2 minutes left. They had seen enough. I had seen enough too to know that they were going to drop this one. In fact, I'd seen it by about the 7-minute mark. You could kind of tell because this is becoming a pattern here. The Nuggets 4 straight losses in Ball Arena. We spoke with David Adelman. I asked him, as far as this defensive slide, how does he break down what's going on? Is this the injuries? Is this effort? Is this scheme? And he said, you could say all of that, but we're just not physical enough. He said, we're not getting into guys. The Nuggets only committed 11 personal fouls tonight. David Adelman went right
That's
to that.
actually wild, man. You give up 131 and you barely foul.
We've talked a lot about guys like Bruce and Spencer, the ones who do try to play defense. They will pick up some fouls. Adelman doesn't mind that, right? That's guys who are trying to play defense, trying to make ball handlers uncomfortable. In fact, he shouted Spencer Jones out tonight, not for the 30 points, but for being one of the few guys that even competed defensively. So he said, look, Nembhard and Flagg were able to move way too freely tonight, and that comes down to physicality. He did say, look, I'm not going to come up here tonight or any night and make this about injuries. We have enough to be more consistent defensively. So he's not going to play that card. Physicality was the big word for him tonight. He said, look, finally we had a bad offensive quarter in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That does happen in the NBA. He said, that's something that's why you play defense, right? That's why you have to be consistent defensively, and they weren't. They didn't give themselves any margin for error. And another game where they score 120 plus and they don't win the game, fellas. So, the Nuggets know that their offense is going to churn. They got to play some defense so that if it skips a beat, they have that margin for error. On Jamal Murray, he said, look, it's a huge absence, obviously, on offense. I don't know how he's doing right now. He said, look, he's such a tough player. If he sits himself from pain, then it probably hurts. Murray was I don't know if you guys could track the whole thing. He left the game. He was questionable to return with a right ankle sprain. He did check back in, but was jogging up and down the floor, left again, was listed as doubtful and never returned. And he was out of there pretty quickly tonight, and I think getting ready to leave before the game was over. So right ankle sprain for Jamal Murray. That's one of those injuries where you get a better sense of just how bad it is the next day, but obviously just the notion of not having Jamal Murray is pretty bad.
God, it's horrible, man.
Curtis Jones.
Should they sign Reggie Jackson?
Oh, God. Point Pickett, man. I mean, it's my guy, but
We also heard from Bruce Brown, who is so sick that I regret standing in the scrum. He's working through a fever tonight, guys. I don't know if you knew that. It was mentioned pregame. He said he feels terrible and he had a terrible day. But as far as the basketball, he said, I've got to be better both ends of the floor. I missed a lot of wide open layups. I'm missing a lot of wide open threes. I'm just not playing like myself, and I need to be better for my teammates. On defense, he cited miscommunication. Gave an example. He said, I didn't hear Cam on one of the X outs, and that's on me. He definitely said something. He said, we have to communicate better and be in the right spots. As far as dropping a bunch in a row here at home, he was asked, the context of the question was about the schedule and how they're bouncing around a lot. He said, yeah, definitely I've never had a schedule like this before, but it's the NBA. I mean, we have to play through that. So we heard from Bruce briefly before he left the game. I will say almost no one in the locker room tonight. When I walked in there, look, Murray left early. We know guys are dealing with injuries. The big guys, Val and Yoke, like to go lift. But I mean, maybe two guys in the locker room for the first 7-8 minutes that I stood there. So really quiet in there. We did hear from Spencer Jones, who was
career night.
unafraid to speak the truth up there. Really, he was asked about his career night and how weird it is to have one, in a loss, but specifically, what did he see that was working for him offensively? He said, it's the same thing teams have been doing since I got into the starting lineup. They're cross-matching. They're putting the 5 on me, putting as much attention as they can on Yoke. So he was just trying to take advantage of that. Obviously, he was able to do that tonight. When 28 points from Spencer Jones in Ball Arena, and they lost this game. It's hard to believe as I talk about it. When asked about blowing another lead, he said, yeah, it's just like we get up so quickly. We feel like the game is easier than it is, and that it's going to stay that way. We take our foot off the gas a little too early, and we do it a little too often. So Spencer Jones, the two-way guy, saying what needs to be said there. As far as the defense, he goes, I know that I'm out there for defense. Like, I scored 28 tonight. We have a bunch of different pathways to putting up 120, 130 points. We know we're going to score at will. The only issue is, can we keep teams below that? So defense, he knows that it's a big part of it. He said he needed to be better tonight defensively, despite Adelman giving him some credit. He did say physicality is a part of it as well. I mentioned Ryan Nembhard, again, as a guy who was just able to move around too freely. He said we got to try to make ball handlers uncomfortable. That includes, he was asked about the fouling comment from Adelman and how it's kind of a tough line to walk when they're down so many players. And he said, yeah, a little bit. I want to be physical. He said, I struggle with that at times. He said that with a laugh. I'll pick up a couple fouls a little too quickly, but you do have to be willing to be physical. And he says, look, I'm a young player. I'll establish my relationship with the referees over time, but that's how he wants to play. That's how Bruce Brown wants to play. These guys that are picking up fouls on this team, I don't think it's a coincidence. They're the two fellas who are trying the hardest to disrupt a ball handler. Lastly, I'm playing with Jokic. He says, look, it's really easy. If you run the floor, if you cut, he's going to find you. I actually don't even think about the offense. I just worry about defense. So some honest, confident stuff from Spencer Jones tonight. And I would say a crowd that had really just had enough finally here in Ball Arena.
And I mean, to me, the boos are warranted. Doesn't mean you hate your team, but it's like, hey, man, thank you, Vote. We'll let you get out of here. I know you're going to go find Yoke now as he speaks, but good report.